Hello, this is Uncle Mike with Kerbal Space Program, and I've decided that I am going to start doing a Kerbal Space Program career mode playlist on my YouTube channel. And so this will be mission 0 of my career. So let's go ahead and get started by starting a new career. Let's go ahead and press X here to edit the name, and we are going to call this Kerbal Kareer. Haha, play on words or spelling. What is that called? Oh, what is that called? It's like that onomatopoeia or something like that. Who knows? But we're going to call it Kerbal Kareer. Let's go ahead and do our options, and let's change our flag. And definitely going to pick this one or Rocco Max. I'm going to go with Rocco Max because it is orange. So there we go. And we're also going to do options and change the difficulty. So I do not want to revert flights. I do not want quick loading. I don't want people to respawn. I do want to have to purchase in the research. I do want the ComNet. What else? I don't want a decline penalty. So everything else looks good there. Let's go to advanced. And I do want Kerbals there. I do not want them to level up immediately. I do want pressure limits and G forces. Let's make it 10. What else should we want? We want to resources evade the transport feeds. I don't want to do that. I gotta earn the action groups. I do want part upgrades. I do want to require a signal. I do want plasma blackout. Other than that, I think we're pretty good. Nope, I want to make it as difficult as possible. So we are going to turn off extra ground stations. So that is what we are going to do. We're going to save that. There we go. And here we go with the start of our Kerbal Kareer. So I am playing on Xbox One. And for those of you who do not know, I have a Bachelor of Science in Aerospace Engineering and Mathematics. I do have a YouTube vlog. My YouTube vlog is mainly about weight loss and travel and just some of my thoughts. And just recently here, I decided that I was going to do a Kerbal Kareer mode. And the reason being, or the inspiration, was by Admiral Andre, who is on YouTube. I really liked his Kerbal videos, and he just started a Kerbal Kareer, so it inspired me to do the same. So here I am in Kerbal, about to start our career. So one of the things that I do want to do here is go ahead and go in and get these first two, which is gather some science on Kerbin. Kerbin is our home planet, and I also want to get the contract here to launch our first vehicle. So that'll give us some science and money, because there's really two economies in the game. The first economy is funds or money, and then the other one is science. And with funds and science, that is how you unlock new components to build either aircraft or more sophisticated launch vehicles. So that is what we are doing with getting contracts. So that helps us also earn then money or funds and science. So that is what we're going to do. So what we need to do here is we then need to gather some science, and we need to launch a vehicle. So one of the things that I'm going to do is now go into the vehicle assembly building, and we are going to construct our first basic vehicle. So I'm going to take the Mark 1 command pod here. I am going to go ahead and rotate that. There is our Rocco Max logo for the Uncle Mike Kerbal Kareer. So there is our nice logo on our capsule. Eventually we're going to want to recover this from flight, so we need to put a parachute on here. I'm going to set this parachute's altitude that it can deploy at 5,000, so that way I can have better control of when the parachute deploys. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to put on a rocket. We don't have no fuel tanks unlocked because we have not unlocked anything in the research tree, nor do we have any science. So we cannot unlock anything. So we've got some basic stuff here. This is a small solid rocket booster here called the Flea. And by pressing X, we can change the look of it. Going to put orange on because that is the color. That is the official color of Uncle Mike. One of the other things we're going to do is go ahead and lower the amount of solid rocket fuel in this. We don't need that much. I'm also going to lower this down to about 25%. There we go, about 25% thrust, because this is such a small, little, light vehicle. We don't need a lot of thrust nor fuel for these missions. So now we just need some aerodynamic fins to help keep us straight. And I don't like the position of those, so I'm going to raise those up on the structure, something like that. For now, I don't even really like that either, so I want to make sure that they're actually just on this booster. So we shall go with that right there. Now the next thing we need is science. So what is science? Science are these, first we start off with these little mystery goo components. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay these on here like so. And that's kind of cool looking actually, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to move those down. Just design these a little different. Just really weird, the controls here. I don't know why it does that. There we go, something like that. That looks pretty cool. We've got these 3 science containers, these mystery goo, and that's basically is science in this game, is where you do crew reports or you take readings like temperature readings, barometric readings, or you have this science container, these mystery goos that you activate in certain areas, and therefore then you get science points for doing it. So that's what these are for. So all right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to check my staging over here in the bottom right, and I need to make sure that the rocket fires first and then the parachute. So remember, we limited the thrust and we also limited the amount of fuel in this, because I really just don't need anything for these missions that I'm about to do. So what we're going to do is now we're going to go ahead and save this aircraft, or this vehicle. It's not necessarily really truly an aircraft, so we saved it, but what I want to do is rename it. And so what I'm going to rename this as, I'm going to rename this the Manley whoop, there we go. I'll label this the Manley Mark 1. Named after Scott Manley, who is also on YouTube. And Scott Manley is just absolutely fantastic in his YouTube videos about space, the descriptions of what's going on with vehicles and launches, orbital mechanics, what's happening in the news. Just an excellent channel. So go make sure you check out Scott Manley on YouTube. So this is our Manley 1. Seems appropriate because we're actually going to fly with a Kerbal, and a Kerbal is basically the people in the game. or if you want to call it the humans in here. So it seems appropriate that this is the Manley Mark 1. And so here we go. We got Jebediah Kerman here as our pilot. He's got no experience or anything like that because that's how we started our career. So I am now just going to make sure I got that saved. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and launch this vehicle and put it out on the launch pad. But what we're going to do is not actually fly it right now. And the reason being is because there is science that we can take at the launch pad. So I'm going to come down here. And if I go ahead and I come to this science goo right here, I can then use that science goo and it will take readings. As you can see here, doesn't seem to be doing much right now, but I'm getting 3 science. If I recover, which means if I get this science goo component back to the Space Center, then I would get 3 science. If I want to transmit it back to the station, so if I was like out in space and I didn't want to come back, I just wanted to send the signal, you can see that you don't get as much. You only get like 40% or something like that of the science, or a third of the science. So I'm going to keep that. So we've now done that. You can see it's opened over here. The other thing I think we can do, and let's see if we can do it, is do an EVA, which means he can come out and he can do an EVA report. So he's actually an EVA report from the launch pad. You can see that's worth another 24 science, or 2.4 science, excuse me. So we're going to go ahead now put him back inside. There's one other report we can do, is actually a crew report from inside the vehicle. So I'm going to do a crew report, and that gives me another 1.5 science for the crew report. So I'm going to keep that experiment there. So that's what we've done here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to actually recover the vessel, the vehicle. I'm not really sure why they call it vessel in this game, but who knows. I'm going to recover the vehicle. And so that's basically a mission right there, or a contract that we got, which was take science from Kerbal. That was one of our first contracts that we did. So as you can see here, this is all the things that we got. We gathered data. So we gained a whole bunch of data here. That's really good to get. So let's go ahead and check on that. Here's all the parts that we recovered. So we get those funds back, and then we got the crew back. But Jebediah really didn't do anything. So now what we're going to do is we are going to go over here into the space plane hangar, which is where aviation would be, where we would have aerospace really. And I believe what we can do now, since we saved that vehicle, we can actually open the vehicle. And so there is our Manley Mark 1. And we can open it up. Not really sure why it started way up there, but it did. So we shall bring it down. Looks like we need to rotate it. There we go. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch this, but it should go onto our dirt runway now. So once it loads out here on the dirt runway, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to activate a Mystery Goose science container to get the science from that. So there we go. We now got the observation from the runway, so we're going to keep that. We're going to go ahead and do a crew report from inside the vehicle on the runway. So we're going to keep that experiment. We're also then going to go ahead and do an EVA. Not really sure why I can't do an EVA. There it goes. EVA report. Maybe it's got to be on his head. I'm not really sure. That's another 2.4 science. So there's the same thing that we did. So let's go ahead and do that. You can also come up here and recover the vessel in the top here. And again, remember, I am on the Xbox One here for this Mission 0 episode, we shall call it. So Mission 0, the start of my career here in Kerbal Space Program. We got a total of 15 science from there. So now we've got 15 science. So now what we can do is we can go ahead and we can look at the research center. There it is, the R&D center. And now you can see the skill tree. So in Kerbal Space Program, in KSP, there is this tree that you can then choose what you want to do with things to get science. And so like, you know, here's 5 and 5. So I'm going to go ahead and activate both of these trees. And then I've got 45,319 funds. So I know what I really want to do here is I'm going to want to activate or buy into some of these. So I don't know if I really want the hammer, but I definitely want the swivel. I definitely want then a fuel tank. So go ahead and get those. Now down here, I'm pretty sure I'm going to want the decoupler to basically separate the fuel tanks and engine from any of my capsules for recovery. Definitely want the thermometer for more science. And then because I don't have any way right now of communicating back to the Kerbal Space Program, especially if I do either longer ballistic flights or even orbital flights, I'm going to need some way to communicate down to the ground. So we are going to go ahead and get that antenna. So that's what we want. So we're down to 5 science right now. And so the next trees cost 20, 18, and 15. So we're going to need to do some more science, which means we're probably going to have to do some flights here with the Manley series of aircraft. Because what I really want to, or the Manley series of vehicles, because really what I want to do is I really want to get into doing some unmanned space flight. I really want to do, you know, robotics and that kind of stuff, I guess you could say. So basically unmanned probes and all of this is how I really want to start. So, all right, so let's go ahead and open up the Manley Mark 1, get it loaded back up, and we are now going to fly this vehicle in a very low and short ballistic flight is what we are going to do. So here we go. We are now going to launch this vehicle, the Manley Mark 1's first flight. So what is the mission profile? The mission profile here is that we are going to launch. We are going to kind of pitch back onto our back, which should be to the east, which should be toward the moon or the moon out there. We're going to kind of pitch onto our back, just do a short ballistic flight, get some science from toward the apoapsis, the apogee of our flight. So in flight, get some science, and then see where we land, and then get science from there. This won't be any, there might be a crew report, but there will not be any EVA reports, because that's a skill tree, I believe, that I have to unlock to be able to do an EVA in space and all of that. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and start our countdown. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to say staging is go, throttle is go, SAS is go. We are go flight, and we are 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And ignition and liftoff. And now we're going to pitch over onto our back. Just get a little bit of pitch program. There we go. We're going to zoom in here. We are going to go ahead and take that science goo. We are now taking that in flight. There we go. We are descending. Let's go ahead and deploy the parachutes. There is the parachute deployed. And we are decelerating. SAS is off. There we go. I think we can probably now do a crew report from the shores. Yes, there's some more science. Now we will descend, and I think because we're going to land off field here, we then should be able to do some different EVA or science and all of that. So there we go. We are now on the ground. Nice landing there. Saved all the components. So let's go ahead and take now a mystery goo from here, which is now this is from KSC, so that is a little different. So we really didn't, we landed somewhere different, so we're gonna get some more science. I think we cannot really do any more crew report because we already have one. So we are going to say, no, we're not going to do that. And we are going to now recover the vehicle. And that is our first flight there. Remember that we also had contracts to get science from Kerbal, and we also got a contract for our first flight. So we just did that. So now we've got 30 science. So we are looking good with funds. Crew is healthy and safe and returned to us. So now we can go look at doing some more research. And remember, one of the things that I want to do is I definitely want to do a lot of science, and I also want to do unmanned. So we're really working ourselves somewhere probably out over here, it looks like, to start to get some type of command pod that is unmanned, which it looks like that is in the skill tree. This one right down here is the first one, but we need 45 science to do that. So what we're going to do is a few more flights here. So one of the things we're going to do is we're going to come up here and we're going to look at what we've got. So we've got some other surveys. We got a flight here, which is tested. We need to be 1,000 to 8,000 meters, 160 to 280. So 3K to 8K meters. So we're going to go ahead, and that would give us some good science. So we're going to take that one. So thumper, the radio, we can't really get those yet. We haven't bought those yet, so not really too. We can actually decline these and we can get new ones. So I'm gonna get all these temperature ones here done. So now we can test heat shields and swivel. We do have the swivel unlocked, so we can test it, land it at Kerbal. So that gives us a few more science. And so we've got some other things that we can do here. So that's, but what we are going to do is we're going to go ahead and do some other flights here because we've got more science that we can get. We can do exactly the same flight with the same Manley Mark 1 vehicle. Again, the Manley Mark 1 is named after Scott Manley, one of the best virtual astronauts that's out there on YouTube. So make sure you go and check out his YouTube channel, which I will leave in the description below here. All right, so what we're going to do now is we are going to come over here and see what we have done. And we've got now thermometer. So I'm going to put 3 of those, and I'm going to put those right here like that. So now we can take temperature readings, which, so we need to do pretty much the same thing that we did already with the science containers, the mystery goos. So we can do the same flights. Everything else is pretty much the same. We can put an antenna now. So what we can do is come over here. Let's just put a single antenna. On that. Let's go ahead now and save this. This is still the Manley Mark 1. We're just upgrading it with more communication and science. We don't have any electrical. We have nothing really else to add to this vehicle. Got a few things. We now have at least a liquid fuel rocket and a liquid fuel engine. So we can make the Manley Mark 2, probably get this higher up into the atmosphere, longer ballistic flights, and maybe even escape the atmosphere. So we will continue on what we're doing here. So we are now, because this is just mission 0, the start of my career. So let's go ahead and save that. Let's go ahead now, launch it. Really haven't added any weight much to this vehicle, so I'm not going to change the amount of fuel. The amount of fuel will just get me more delta V, or more change of velocity, which would allow me to the flight to be longer, and I really don't need that right now. So what I'm going to do is, I've already done the science, but I think you can squeeze out some more science. So yeah, you get 0.7. So I'm going to keep that. I'm going to go ahead and do log now the temperature. That's 2.4. So now we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and extend this antenna though. Now I can transmit data. See, that's what the antenna is for. So, all right, I'll add a little drag. We'll see what that does. I don't know. So, all right, we are going to do our same countdown here. So we are, staging is go, throttle is go, SAS is go, flight, we are go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition and liftoff. We're going to start a real quick pitch program again. Nice pitch program. Oh, look at that. I broke off the antenna. That's awesome. I'm going to go ahead now and capture the science goo again. Go ahead and deploy the chutes. Go ahead and get that temperature reading that is in flight. Go ahead and get rid of the nav ball so we can see here. So here we are descending down. So that is, we can do another crew report. Let's see if we can do another. Well, I think we can do it, but does it give us anything? Nope, it does not give us anything. So I'm just going to go ahead and reset that, because maybe we can use that then once we touch down here. So everything's looking good on this flight. Again, this is really just the start of my career. So we're just trying to get science to maybe finish mission 0 here of the Uncle Mike Kerbal Kareer. Might, have a culmination of just getting into, to leave the atmosphere, getting into space. So there we go. We are now landed again. So now we can probably do another crew report. Yep, I didn't think I had done that one yet. I can do an EVA, but I think I've done that one already. So it's not going to give me anything. Yep, it does. Okay, so I'm going to take that, put you back in there. Now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do a mystery goo from here, which shouldn't give me much because I already did it from here. Yep, 0.7. But now I can take a temperature reading from here. That gives me another 2.4 and log that. Now I recover the Manley Mark I. Again, named in honor of Scott Manley. We're going to recover this. You can see, look at that, 48 science, 18 science earned on that. Parts are recovered. Crew is recovered. Looking really good. Let's go ahead now check out our R&D department. Now we've got even more stuff that we can get from there. And so I think I am going to buy into survivability for 15. And so now with that, I am going to get, there's a heat shield. I don't really know what heat shield I want, but I definitely want the barometer for more science. So I definitely want that. So I am going to now go ahead and get out of here. I want to look at this basic science. So we need more science because what I really want there is a probe body. So that way we can get out of the or we can get into unmanned flight and get out of these manned flights. So that's what I am doing here. I really want this right here, the basic science. So it looks as if we are going to need to do some more flights here. So one of the things I think I'm also, because we're going to push to orbit. So I think I'm going to want to get that heat shield, drogue chutes, and those right there. Do I really want, not sure if I want that or not. Service bay. This is, don't need anything from there. Don't need anything from there. I don't think, except for that bigger fuel tank. But I really don't want to waste a lot of science on that. So we're going to see what we can build here from this. So I'm going to go ahead back out. We are going to go in here, check any new contracts that we've got. Test the heat shield. Here's one that we can test to get science. We're going to take that one. We can test the swivel, so we can take that one. I'm not even sure how many we've already got. We got the parachute. Oh, we only do 2 at a time. So we need to do this contract. We got to test the Mark 16 parachute in a flight over Kerbal, which means it looks like we need to deploy it 3,000 meters to 160. Okay. So we need to do that right there. So let's go ahead and get back into the Space Flight Center. I think we probably can use the Manley Mark 1 for this. So there is the Manley Mark 1. We are not going to deploy. I'm going to go ahead and save that. But we now, we can update because we have new science now. So I am going to now put now we can do the same thing. So this is we're just expanding the Manley Mark 1 with more and more science. That's what we are doing. So let's go ahead and launch this here. We are just gathering science, and of course we could get more science by going over to the runway, because we can launch this vehicle on the runway. So we need to do that also. So I am going to come over here and do the science goo again. Again, I don't think we get anything. No, 0.2. So we're done with this. I don't think we can take another temperature reading. Gives us nothing. Nope, it does. So we are going to now log the pressure. That gives us 3.6 science now, all from the launch pad. So we're just gathering science here. So we're going to do the same flight, but what we're going to do is we're going to watch to see. We need to be, what, 160 meters per second and like 3,000 meters or 3 kilometers in altitude. So all right, so staging is go, throttle is go, SAS is go, flight we are go. T-minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition and liftoff. Pitch program. We're watching our speed here, so we get to about 100 meters per second. That is about all we get to. We're going to go right up here to apoapsis, and we're going to go ahead and deploy the parachute. SAS comes off. We've already got a bunch of stuff now. I don't think I can take another temperature reading, or I can, but it gives me nothing. Correct. I am now going to, nope, I don't want that. I want to take the, come on, give me my, that, there we go. No, there is a glitch here. I cannot activate the to move those or something. Cannot act. There we go. Whew. I don't know what was going on. Ooh, that's a lot of science though right there. That was good right there. Oof. That is good science. 8. Remember, what we're trying to do is we're just trying to unlock the basic science skill tree in the Research and Development Center, so that way we can start to do unmanned flight. That is less risk. That is what I'm trying to accomplish here, is unlock the first probe body. So here's all the missions that we have, contracts that we completed. We can just get rid of those. Here's all these other accomplishments that we've done. That is really nice to see. There we go. We are now on the ground. Already done EVAs. I've done this. Let's log the pressure data. That's another good 3.6 science. Let's recover the vehicle. Should be a good amount of science here for us. That's what we really want. So 15.9 science. We're up to 49 science total. That is excellent. All parts recovered. Crew is safely recovered. So we can still fly the Manley Mark 1 to finish that contract, but we need to get the vehicle higher, much higher. So we need to add just fuel to it. So we are going to continue to fly the Manley Mark 1 here. We're going to go into the vehicle assembly building. Basically, we're not going to modify the Manley Actually, we do. Yes, we are going to. We're going to go back out. We're going to go into the research department here, and we are going to look at that basic science, because that basic science has, I believe, yes, it has a science junior, which then gives us even more science. It has collectible data, so this is cutting edge. So it comes with blah blah blah. So it looks like the science junior is something else that we can collect science from. So, but I want that probe body. That's really what we want right there. So what we are going to do then is we are going to, with this 45 science, we are going to buy that. And now we're going to come out. Now we can get our probe body. We can get then batteries. That's excellent to have. Experiment storage unit. Very cool. Not really sure what that is. Radiator. I know what that is. Radiator. High gain antenna. So don't really need that, I think, right now. We're just doing small flights. But the science junior, yes. Because again, we're just trying to get science to unlock as much as we can here in the basics of our research and development. So I like where we're at now. Probably the next one we'll do is up here to get a little bit more powerful engine, maybe, but at least that bigger fuel tank right there, and maybe that larger solid rocket booster. So, but we just need more science. That's just what we need. You got to keep collecting the science. Let's go back in here. And now what we can do is we can actually replace the Manley Mark 1, but don't think we really need to do that right now, because what we can do is we could modify this to be the Manley Mark 2, because we got these bigger parachutes. So yeah, we can modify this to be the Manley Mark 2. Let's go ahead and save this right now. Let's check on more science. So you see now we now have the science junior. So one of the things that we could do is not really change this, but we're going to put then that on there just so we can see what this is all about. I'm actually going to rotate that once. We're going to fly this like this. We've already done all the stuff. So what we're going to do now is we are going to go ahead and launch this without any type of engine or anything like that. I just want to see what the Science Junior now kit does. So no flight here. We're just going to look and see what this, we're going to now observe the material. What does this do? This 7, okay, so that does give us science. So that is cool. So that is pretty awesome right there. Now I've already done all these, right? This is check. Yeah, so I've already done that. So there we go. We are now going to recover the vessel. Remember, we still got a few test flights that we need to, or contracts that we need to do. So just to gather more and more science. So there was 7.5 science earned right there. So the other thing that we can do now is we need to save this. We need to save this as the test vehicle or something like that. So I'm going to rename this. We're going to rename this the Manley. We're actually putting Kerbins in it, so it is manned. We're going to call this Manley test vehicle. The MTV. So here we go. Manley test vehicle. We're going to go ahead and save that. Another thing that we're going to do here is on our science. We're going to go ahead and put on our 3. Go. We're going to put those on there. We're going to save this, the Manley test vehicle. Yes, I want to overwrite it. There we go. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the Space Center. Now we're going to launch this, though, from the space plane hangar. And then we're going to launch it onto the runway and gather all the science from the runway. So we are going to go ahead and open now this. We're going to get the Manley test vehicle here. We're going to go ahead and launch that. Get it out here on the runway, a non-flight test here. There it is. So let's go ahead and observe the materials bay. Another 7.5 science. Go ahead and get mystery goo. 0.7. Go ahead and get one little drop of science. Log the temperature, 2.4 science. Get the pressure, 3.6 science. So let's go ahead and now recover that. We already done the EVA and crew report from here. Let's go ahead and get that science. So very low risk missions here to gather science. So we just want to unlock the skill tree here. So we're at the 26 science, looking good. Everybody is safely back. Now let's go ahead and look and see what we can do here. We can now get general rocketry, which is really, really good. So we're looking, I like it, I like it, I like it. So let's go ahead and unlock that. I really don't want this engine yet. The thumper is cool. So because we can do unmanned now. That's the whole point here, is that we have a vehicle that can do unmanned. So I'm going to grab that tank. That's important there. So all right, so now we're going to go in and we are going to design a new vehicle here and see if we can get higher into the atmosphere. We've got that parachute that we can still do, but now what we can do is we can, oh, I don't know how to necessarily unlock from here. We've got that, so I guess I do have it. Okay, I didn't think I had it unlocked. All right, so now we've got this pro body, which is very, very important. And oops, I'm locked up for some reason here. Yep, I cannot rotate my turn to the spacecraft here. We're gonna kind of go in some other direction. See if this gets unfrozen. It would not let me look here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come down here and just make sure that I've got it unlocked and all that. So use that. All right, so we are looking good. Let's go back and work on creating our new spacecraft, which is going to be our first unmanned vehicle here. So let's go ahead and there we go. So we got that. I'm going to go ahead and rotate it. We are now going to probably put some different chutes on this, just because it's a very different design here. This is our first unmanned vehicle, so we're going to put 2 chutes like that. Doesn't look right at all. Okay, maybe we won't do that. See what we can do here. We can put top, but no, that either. So trying to go ahead and stick something on top here, but it doesn't seem like it really wants to. Oh, that's awesome. This might be interesting here. Put one. We're gonna get a little. This is very interesting here. So put a little superstructure in there, because then what I should be able to do then. Yeah, that's very interesting. Hoping I could put a build down in the bottom. All right, well, we are going to go ahead and there is our probe body. All right, so let's see what we've got here. We've got science that we could put on that, because what we're going to do is we're going to basically put this out into space, and we're going to see how high we can get, because it's unmanned, which is good. So let's just see what we've got here. Fuel tanks, utility, science. Got the science junior that we could attach on there, or the science junior. And then I wonder if we can turn on the weight. It's down low, so that's okay. So now what we can do, let's see about putting two drogues like that. Would set those for higher. Now let's take, we're gonna put more science on this, so we should be able to get this center of gravity fairly low. And so there is that. It's kind of cool looking though, I have to admit. Very interesting. I'll rotate that. There we go. All right. So here's it kind of looks like a person, doesn't it? All right, might have to name this after a person also. So, all right, so now what we can do is we can put some more science on here. So we're going to need to put some science on here. All right, what we want to do here is mirror. Go. Maybe think, what are you doing here? Well, I'm changing the mirror, so now when I put on two of these, not working the way that I want it to. Yeah, it's not working the way. What was there it is. Change symmetry. Radio 1, radio 2. It's not the way that I wanted it to be. Right. Sure, there's a way that I could do that, but I'm not sure, I guess, how to do it right now. But we're going to do it the slow way. Basically going to put against there. All right, so there's our 2 science. Now we're going to want to do some temperature reading. So we're going to put that right there, and then another one right there. And now a barometer right there. Because of the animation of the doors opening, the Science Junior, that's why I'm putting this Science kind of on the back side here. It's a little, makes it a little asymmetric, but not too bad. I don't think it should be a problem. So, all right, so I've got a bunch of science on this now. So now what we're going to do is start to design our vehicle. So just in case, I'm going to actually go ahead and put on a heat shield on the bottom here. So now we got a heat shield just in case we need it. Now coupling. Now we can put a coupling in here. I'm going to limit the percent force on here. Oh, that's the heat shield. I don't want that. There we go. About 20%, looks good. All right, so I think we only have a limited amount. We have 30 parts that we can use, so that is why I really wanted this bigger fuel tank. We need to make it orange. There we go. Now we just want to build on orange, so I'm going to make these the orange. Go. Switch that to orange. And usually with rocketry, it just needs to look right. I really don't want a super short, fatty little thing. I really want kind of a longer vehicle. Something like that. Now we've got the swivel engine here, so we do have some vectoring, which is good. We also need some aerodynamics now. I'm going to put on those. So here is our first unmanned vehicle. Whoa, but we need communication. What we're going to do now is going to put think how I want to actually do this. I think maybe I just want dual symmetry. Something like that. There we go. Yeah, that looks pretty interesting, doesn't it? So it's pretty light. Probably don't need full thrust on this, but let's check our staging. Engine goes. We want the drogues to come out next. These are the drogues. So I think that's what we're going to do. So let's go ahead now and rename this. And I'm going to name this the Comrade Mark 1. This is named after Admiral Andre, who is also on YouTube. So I'll also leave a link to his YouTube channel in the description below. But our unmanned vehicles, we shall call the Comrade vehicles. So here is our first unmanned probe designed vehicle. Everything looks good except for we need to make sure that this is also set for very high and the drogues are set. Yep. Everything is now looking good. Let's go ahead and save this craft. Let's now go ahead, put it on the launch pad, and here we go. First flight of the Comrade Mark 1, our first unmanned vehicle. So we will do the same. We will look at staging. Staging is go. Throttle is go. We do not have SAS because there's no SAS, so we have to fly this manually. So here we go. We are going to see what we've got. Again, the risk factor is lower here. Why? Because we are not risking a Kerbal here. So we are now unmanned flight. So here we go. So no SAS. So it's going to be about it's going to be a little different flight here. So, all right. So something like this. So here we go. So staging is go. Throttle is go. SAS is inactive. So flight, we are go. T-minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition and liftoff. A nice. Gotta fly this one, so it's gonna be a little tricky here. I really do like the thrust. It's got a little bit of too much thrust that I like, but it's all right. We can throttle back. Everything is looking good here on flight. Passing through max Q, I'm going to throttle back as we pass through max Q here. Period of maximum dynamic pressure. I'm flying this really poorly. It's getting away from me. I'm getting the engine shut down. I got really squirrely on me. It's now tumbling. I'm going to separate, get this out of here. We are going to go ahead and deploy the drogues. See, that is the reason why I like unmanned flight, is because if things go awry, you are not risking a Kerbal here. So not sure if we're over the water, but we got to 10 kilometers in altitude here. So I went ahead and put out the drogues to stabilize. Does look like a little person though. So the Comrade Mark 1 definitely looks like a Comrade. So all right, well, we've got plenty of science here. So let's see what we get from. We observe this right here. So 17 science, we will capture that. What else can we do? I don't know if we've got mystery goo. I don't know where we're at. If we get anything, no, we really don't. So I'm going to reset all of this. We're just going to descend here under the drogues. The drogues now have deployed, so we're in a slow descent here. Not really sure if we're. Looks like we're over the water. So it seems like we should get, but I think this is just in flight, right? So we don't really get anything. Yeah, we don't get anything because we're flying. We've already done that. So I'm going to go ahead and reset that and get ready for splashdown here. So everything should get saved. So I'm going to go ahead and go into time warp here. Speed things up. So that was just an error on my fault. It was just bad flying since I do not have the stability augmentation system, the SAS system. So I just lost control of the vehicle. So we will probably redo this flight and try to then get it more stable. So I'm going to now come out of warp. We're coming in. I'm now going to go ahead and it's going to be a very slow descent. So I'm going to wait till about 500 meters or so here. Now I'm going to deploy the mains. There go the mains. The mains are deployed. Look at all those chutes. It looks pretty good. It could, if it could, I think, flip over, which would be really bad news. So that center of gravity is just barely in the right spot. So oof, it looks pretty good. So I'm not overly concerned here. So let's go ahead and get into some warp again. Get this thing down lower, quicker in time warp. Speed up time to 4 times. Getting down here under 100 meters. I'm out of warp. Here comes a nice ginger. Look how slow this splashdown is. Oh, that is good to see. Nicely done. Now what we can do is we come down here. We should be able to then Get some water science. Capture that. Get the pressure. Heck yeah. Temperature. Heck yeah. All right. Don't think there's anything else I can do here. Let's go ahead and recover the vehicle. And let's see what we got in terms of science. And we're going to fly that again. It was just a very, very poor flight on my part. And that will probably then be where we end up here. So there we go. 20, total of almost 40 science. Let's see what we can get with 40 science. Anything? Nope, it looks like we need about, electrics are 90. Woo! Yeah, that's okay, that's all right. Miniaturization, see, that's cool. Miniaturization is really, really cool. So there's some precision engineering. That looks good to have. RCS. So there's some pretty interesting things farther up, but nothing that really tickles my fancy here. The miniaturization is cool. I don't want that. Don't really. Though that's pretty cool too. So I might end up getting something here in general construction. But we haven't really got to space yet. So we're going to do that same flight. We're just going to fly better here. So let's go ahead and get the Comrade Mark 1 back in refurbed, and let's get it back on the launch pad, and let's just be a little better here with our flight. So one of the things I want to do here is, it seemed like this was rotated. I'm going to rotate that so that way it's a little easier. Everything else seemed really, really good. So I'm going to go ahead and fly it like it is. Everything looks good. Save it there. And we are going to launch here our Comrade Mark 1, named after Admiral Andre, another virtual astronaut on YouTube. So here we go. Again, staging looks good, throttle looks good. We do not have SAS, so we have to fly this ourselves. Everything's looking good. So flight, we are go. We are T-minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition and liftoff. We're just going to try to fly this on 090 heading. Really concentrating on really staying within the velocity vector and keeping inside that yellow circle, my velocity vector, passing through max Q. I'm not overly concerned here. I'm getting overly concerned. There we go. This is very difficult without SAS, especially on the Xbox controller. Really trying to keep it on 090. Just that's very... Alright, gonna throttle back. Looking pretty... Oh, we're losing it. We're losing it. Alright, we're tumbling again. Gonna separate. Let everything continue to just go up toward apogee, or apoapsis as it's called. I don't have any control, so it's now just going to tumble. So I'm going to try to get some science here while I can, since we're up higher. Looking really, really good though. Need to try to capture that temperature right there. We're in the upper atmosphere. We're not going to get to space, at least I don't think, but we could always go to map view and see how high we're going to get. 50 kilometers, so that is going to be see if we see what this flight ends up looking like. I do have drogues. So here we go. We are getting to the point of apoapsis. If we were on the Earth, it would be called apogee, but since we're here, we're going to call it apoapsis, the highest point. So there we go. We are now descending. Not sure about what's going to happen with this vehicle. I might need to transmit the data, but we'll see, because we're going to enter the atmosphere, and this thing is free flowing, so I can't control it. There's no SAS or anything right there. See, no SAS. So we start to hit the thick part of the atmosphere. We'll see what the aerodynamics of this vehicle is like. We should really start to hit the thick part of the atmosphere. So I'm not expecting to worry about overheating, but we shall see. We are now hitting the thick part of the atmosphere. We're under 40 kilometers. So we should start to see some deceleration, and there we go. Now we're starting to see some aerodynamic effects, and there we go. It looks like the vehicle is going to correct itself aerodynamically. That is excellent to see. Woohoo! We have collected a bunch of science. So this is looking really, really good. This will be the last flight here of Mission 0, the start of my Kerbal Space Program career. Everything is looking good. We're now slowing down in the thick part of the atmosphere. We got some very good science. I am going to go ahead and just... Oh, nope, I cannot deploy that. It would destroy the part, so... I think I still have communication, though. Yep, direct communication with the space station, or the space center. So we're good there. So we're descending down. Remember, we got the drogues and the mains here, so we've got plenty of chutes. So I'm not concerned about touchdown or splashdown in this case. But you can see, we definitely need something that we can then have a SAS and all of that kind of stuff, which we will take a look at here. So I'm going to go ahead and now deploy the drogues. Drogues are deployed. About 500 meters, we will then deploy the mains, have a nice easy splashdown, recover the vehicle, and then check out our research and development center. See what we want to unlock for the next mission here. So go ahead and deploy the mains. Mains are deployed. We've got good chutes here. Everything is looking really, really nice. So descending down. So this has been the first mission here, just collecting science, moving forward, trying to then get into space, but it looks like that will have to wait for our next mission here of Uncle Mike's Kerbal Space Program career. So, all right, I am going to just recover the vehicle. Go back to the Space Center, get our science, then see what we want to unlock for our next mission. So 49.5 science earned. Most parts came back that were important. We have 93 science. So we are going to now look to see what we want to unlock. And looking at this, there's another probe body right there. That's very important there. So I really don't see anything right now that I really want except for that right there, because that, does this have SAS? doesn't charge. This small unit can only, not only, it also provides a, automatic stability assist. So this is definitely what I want right there for what we want to do, because that would get us then to the Comrade Mark II. So this is very, very important. So I'm going to go with, it looks like that's really what I want. I'm just looking to see if there's any other type of probe body that we might want, but I do not see it. So, and then we want to probably work to this with the smaller right here, these smaller propulsion systems. So we are going to unlock this right here. We are then going to unlock that. We then have solar panels that we can unlock. We now have a much bigger battery bank that we can unlock. So I'm going to grab that also. So now we're really getting toward where we can really have some very interesting probes. And that is really what we wanted. So we are now going to back out of this. And that will be the end of the first mission here of the Uncle Mike Kerbal Space Program Career. This is a new playlist that I will have on my YouTube channel. So remember that you are amazing. So thumbs up to you because you are amazing. Subscribe, chime that bell to get notified. I am Uncle Mike.